seems strange and new, dear, since I said goodnight to you, dear, in the long, long ago, with the moon swinging low. I recall a garden gate, dear, garden gates are out of date, dear, so I remember one still, it was life's greatest thrill, hanging on the garden gate, saying goodnight, goody good night. Didn't care if it was late, saying goodnight, goody good night. I forgot the time and date, saying goodnight, holding you tight, hanging on the garden gate, saying goodnight, goody good night. Though when we started, the moon was peeping, before we parted, dawn was creeping. I let the horse and buggy wait, saying goodnight, kiss me goodnight, hanging on the garden gate, saying goodnight, goody good night. There'd be lots of joy in finding just a little lane a-winding back to days that we knew when I first courted you. My love just kept growing stronger, and that's why I'd linger longer, saying kiss me and then saying kiss me again, hanging on the garden gate, saying goodnight, goody good night. Didn't care if it was late, saying goodnight, goody good night. I forgot the time and date, saying goodnight, holding you tight, hanging on the garden gate, saying goodnight, goody good night. Though when we started, the moon was peeping, before we parted, dawn was creeping. I'd let the horse and buggy wait, saying goodnight, kiss me goodnight, hanging on the garden gate, saying goodnight, goody good night. Fun song. I got my cheat sheet right here. See if I can read when it was written. Get the old spectacles out here. It was written in 1929, so just before the big fall of the stock market, or somewhere in there. And it was written by Gus Kahn and Ted Fiorito in 1929. And I want to say right off the bat that I did find sheet music for this on the internet somewhere, and I did rely heavily on that. I tweaked it a little bit to make it a little easier to play, maybe knocked out a few extraneous chords that I didn't think were needed in there. But there's a couple little trickier ones, and the song does have a peppier pace to it. So if you Google it on YouTube or search it on YouTube, hanging on the garden gate, saying goodnight, you'll find a couple versions of it, and they're both pretty peppy. It is in the key of C, at least the version that I have here. And there's one chord that's kind of unusual, or maybe you won't play it very often, and that's a G sharp 7. So how do you sharpen a G7? Because a G7 is open 2 1 2, right? It looks kind of like that. But to sharpen it, you have to go up a set of strings, and let's see what that sounds like. Something's not quite right. So what we need to do, if we slide those 3 forward to sharpen it, we also have to slide this one up. So we have to hit that string somehow. Okay? And you can do that a couple different ways. And the way I was doing it, you could bar it and play it with those 3 fingers like that. But the next chord down after that, the chord right after that, is an E7. And so if you remember what your E7 shape is, it's like this, right? But if you make your G sharp 7 with your, way I do it is my pointer on the 4th string 1st fret, my middle finger on the 1st string, or 2nd string 2nd string 2nd fret, and then my ring finger on the 3rd fret 3rd string, and my pinky on that 1st string 3rd fret. So it sounds like that. And the reason why I do it kind of clustered up like that is because the next chord coming up is an E7. And tricky as it may be, and you may have to work on this a little bit, transitioning from this G sharp 7 to an E7, is all you have to do is pick this middle finger up. Now, easier said than done, right? Because you're going to have to communicate to your fingers, and your brain's going to have to work on that. Literally, you may want to take some time picking it up, but you're just going to slide, pick that up. Watch my language here, and you're going to slide these other two right down because you've already got your index finger, your pointer finger up on that first string. Now you've got an E7. So if you think about having your G7 here and sliding that up, and then you got your pointer on your fourth string, first fret. Then when you go to make that E7, you're going to pick this guy up and slide these down, and you're making an E7. So in that section, you're going to go, everything is strange and new, dear, since I said goodnight to you, dear. Here comes the E7. In the long, long ago, A7, D7 with the moon swinging low to a G7. Okay, so there's lots of sevens in here, and we know in the 1920s they loved that kind of hanging sound of the seventh chord. I happen to love it a lot. So that's about the trickiest section in here, and if you don't have to hurry it through in your practice time, better yet, your practice time is better off if you take it slow. So if you think about maybe taking this pace until you get it down. Everything is strange and new, dear, since I said goodnight to you, dear, in the long, long ago, with the moon swinging low. I recall a garden gate, dear, and so on. And then it comes up to that G sharp 7, back down to an E7. So if you work on that a little bit, you'll get that. And it's just kind of a weird feeling because you're not used to making that G sharp 7 or an E7 with these other fingers. You're getting those other fingers in that game. The other thing that I did just kind of dress it up is I threw triplets in there occasionally. And I would do that on the G minor chord. So it'd be hanging on the garden gate, saying goodnight, goody goodnight. And then the next phrase through, there's no G minor, so I didn't do it in there. And the fourth line then, I forgot the time and date, saying goodnight, holding you tight. The next phrase doesn't have any. And then you go to D minor, so it goes, though when we started, the moon was to an A9, which is open 1, open 2. That's an A9. And then you're going to go to an A7, which is you're just going to pick up that chord to make it. And I would do it on that A9 also. That's where I would do a triplet. So it'd be, though when we started, the moon was peeping. Before we parted, dawn was creeping. By varying your strumming patterns like that, you're not getting into that rut of an up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. And you even saw probably in the second time through, there was a couple of times where I just did hanging on the garden gate, and just took a pause in there of strumming totally. So, though when we started, the moon was peeping. Before we parted. So you can use silence to your benefit. Sometimes it's very needed to give the listeners here some variety, to give yourself some variety, because remember, you are an audience of one. Even if you only play for yourself, make it fun. Make it so that you like hearing what you're playing. Have fun with the song. It's called Hanging on a Garden Gate, Saying Goodnight. And you'll be able to find that at UkesterBrown.com.